Hi, it's Don Stuck, and well, as you probably know, yesterday a 20-year-old goes into a grade school in Connecticut, kills 20 grade schoolers and 6 on staff. When something like this happens, people want answers. The victims' families want answers. They want revenge. The first instinct is to drag the guy into the street and tear him limb for limb. The victim's families obviously want revenge. The guilty must pay. But in a civilized society, we're not allowed revenge. And the very sad fact is we're also not guaranteed justice. We just do our best. But in these heinous crimes, when they're occurring every week, week after week, we're not doing our best. No one can say we are. In the last few months, were the people who make the tough decisions sitting down at an earnest table to try and figure out a plan to prevent or even at least lessen the occurrences of gunmen going into theaters and grade schools and killing people? No, they weren't. President Obama, I like President Obama. I voted for him. He's crying on TV yesterday. Do you recall either major presidential candidate even mentioning gun control or at least some form of reform? They probably did. I missed it. I like the president. But like the president, a lot of people were crying yesterday, and probably in about a week or so from now, a lot more people will be crying when this next occurrence happens. The fact of the matter is, goddammit, that this shit's been going on in a highly publicized way since Columbine. And that was in the late 90s. Since then, we've had how many NRA presidents? How many Democratic and Republican-led Senates? How many presidents with the world's sharpest minds to advise them? All of them are accountable for every dead child and people on the staff yesterday. All of them. And so are we. You and I. In some areas, we got pot legalized this year. Gays can now legally marry each other. These unheard of acts are now law. And you know why? Because the people wanted it. We're guilty. You and I are guilty. We're not guilty of intentional acts, but we're guilty of trying to protect certain rights that, in my opinion, need to be obviously re-examined. When the right to bear arms was written into the Constitution, it took 30 to 45 seconds to load and fire one shot. There was a Roman lawyer, senator, named Cicero, and he said, "The safety of the people is the highest law." And he said that before Christ was born. They had it figured out 2,000 years ago. Now, granted, the Romans tortured all their slaves and ran around crucifying people, so they didn't have it all figured out, but you see what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we need to take anybody's constitutional rights away, but it has to be looked at. It used to be legal to dump motor oil into the river. It used to be legal to own slaves. It's not anymore. The sun still comes up. You know, granted, owning slaves and all that started a civil war, but when you count up the school shooter, tower shooter, theater shooter, restaurant shooter death tolls, aren't we already in a civil war? So this thing yesterday, there can be a silver lining, right? They say there's a silver lining in everything. The safety of the people is the highest law. We've had the right to bear arms for a couple of centuries. Everyone has guns, and we're not safe.